So I'm about to take the engine off this, but I thought first of all it'd be a good idea to see if it still sparks. I found the original ad for it, which not only has the price but also explains that it did start, and if you look, there's a fuel tank with it. I knew I wasn't going mad, so that's somewhere. I'm going to leave it with the blue tank for now, because I think well, I'll show you. So my best guess is that the fuel tank is in that stack of boxes just there on the end of my finger, for which I have to traverse all of this to get to. So big things are going to be happening in this shed in the next 9 months to a year, where I'm going to have a lot more space, more coming on that nearer the time. So by then I'll be able to go over there without climbing over all these bikes or spending literally 2 hours getting bikes out and putting them back. So for now it's running a blue tank. Anyway, as I was saying, it was running, it said it was wired just for spark. Now here is the wiring that we've got. So black wire out of the engine goes to that one, which is a black wire going into the CDI. I think one of them is supposed to be black and red, but they're both black. But never mind. So black wire coming out straight into the black wire on the CDI, and then the black wire on there, well, it was just like that. So that other black wire was just going to earth, but it had that attached to it that made me think that it plugged into one of these. So we'll investigate that further. I don't know why it would. One of these must be an earth, basically. So it earths that and that together onto there. I think we need another wire somewhere though, and I'm assuming that's how he killed it. He pulled that out, and that's that, because there is no other wiring on this apart from the orange wire out the CDI, which goes to the coil, as it should. Here is the wiring diagram I made in hospital when I'd come out of intensive care and I had nothing to do. I looked up this diagram that I found on Moped Army and worked out what was needed, what wasn't needed. So coming out of the magneto there should be a black and red, a white and red. So the black and red goes to earth via the kill switch. The white and red goes to the white and red on the CDI, that's the pulse. The black ground is the earth, so that and the black and red would link together when the kill switch was engaged, which would kill the engine obviously, and the orange wire to the CDI. So that tells me that perhaps you kill it by plugging that in, which would sort of make sense, I suppose. But the CDI is earthed all the time. Let me just look at this a bit more. So I think I've figured it out. Assuming that the black wire on the CDI is black and red on this diagram, then we've got that one. There's nothing connecting white and red, so we have a missing cable. There's your white and red, and it would go to the third pin on there, but it doesn't. So I can make up a little cable for that. This is just for testing purposes, by the way. I'm going to make a proper little tiny loom up for it. And I'm used to AC bikes, with no battery, where you would ground out the ignition coil in order to kill it. I'm thinking that that's CDI power in, so that might be the case. If it grounds the power in, it would kill it. Or either that, or that is actually the earth for the CDI, and you need to make a connection to make the bike run. So when you disconnect it like that, then it would kill the bike. I don't know which of those that is, but the on-off switch I've got for the bike, you'll see it's a push to brake one. So either way, it just depends if the switch is in or out when the bike's running. We'll work it out. Okay, so just as proof of concept, I've put a wire in from there. This would be the white with the red stripe wire going into there. This is the kill, which I'm leaving off now, assuming that it's going to spark with a normally open circuit, and then that would kill it. And I need you to keep an eye on this for me while I kick it over. I'm just going to go put you in the tripod. Right, so you keep an eye on that spark gap for me. And you shout for me if you see a spark, alright? I'll be looking too, but I might have to watch the video back to actually see anything. I see one. Yes boy. Should we put some fuel down it just for laughs? Okay, so for anyone not familiar with this method, I have a syringe with some petrol in it here. I'm going to squirt it into the spark plug hole, put the spark plug back in and try and start it. And the reason for doing this is that it's a way of bypassing the fuel system. I've only put about half of that in. Bypassing the fuel system, so if your carb doesn't work or is clogged or there's no fuel tank connected right now, it'll basically, you've got fuel in your cylinder, it'll start spitting it out as you turn it over, and when it gets the right amount, it will fire and run for a couple of seconds, and it just proves that everything else is working basically. So let's try it. It's going to be loud, there's no exhaust on it. Oh, there it all goes. That's going to cause a fire, isn't it? Probably should have done this with the exhaust on. Let's come a bit further away. Here we are, sister location, because we don't want all of that to catch fire. Yes! That's all we're getting, but it ran. I'm taking that. Might try a little bit more, hang on. Might get a small fire from that, but we'll see. Wiring's still all intact. Oh, I'm so happy it runs. Right, now we're going to do what I came here to do originally, which is to remove the engine. It's going to get a little bit of work with the seals on it. And I think it's only held on by one bolt, which looks like about a 14. So let's test that theory. Yeah, what a guess. There's the nut off. One bolt. Right, okay, we're still attached by the carb top at the moment. Basically all the handlebar cables. So I don't need these. They can come off. Just take the top off the carb, I suppose. Remember, the black is the choke. That's the choke cable out. Throttle cable out, carb top off. Right, that should be it then. Yes! Things are only going to get better, little bike. So I suppose this thing probably needs a bit of a clean up, really. Looking at the bloody state of it. Maybe that should be the next job. Okay, so I've measured the bore for the cylinder, and it's 43mm, which is basically standard 50cc size, which means we can use a standard 50cc carburettor without faffing about. I was going to use the carburettor that came on the other bike, but it's a clone. I've not had much luck with clones on other bikes, so I'm assuming this will be the same. So providing we can get this off and it's savable, then hopefully we can reuse it. In case you've not watched the other videos in this series, this is essentially a parts bike at the moment. It's not very good, not in particularly good condition. It was bought like this, it's nothing I've done, but it looks like it's been stood outside for years on end. So I've been harvesting a couple of bits from it. I was hoping to hopefully put it back on the road in the end, and I still might, but some of the parts that are missing for it are quite hard to come by. Let's see if I can wiggle this carb off. Get my finger out the way of the lens. There we go. Right, so that's the oil injection line there. I'm going to have to try and plug that hole up, so I might cut this line. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to cut the line or use it. I'll have another one on the blue one, won't I? Right, okay, decision made then. I'm going to cut this line and try and melt it shut, because this will be an air leak, because obviously I'm not having the oil injection. So that would be an air leak that we don't want. So I will snip that off, undo the throttle cable and the choke cable and the fuel line, and this carb should be ready to come off. This one here is just a drain for the float ball. It's not looking as horrible as I thought it would be. I mean, it's not looking great, but it's not looking that horrible. Okay, so that's the fuel line and the oil line removed. Both the screws I've undone so far, this one on the clamp and the one on the top, have come out dead easily, which is a surprise. So let's see if these two slides are stuck, which they are, it would seem. Possibly the choke slide's alright, but the throttle slide seems like it needs a bit of love, so I'm short of time today anyway. I'm going to squirt a load of WD-40 down the top of there and leave it to soak and see what comes of it. I could lever it up, don't know how well you can see in there. I could lever that up as well, the slide, so let's do that. Okay, so the carburetor is off and it's time to sonic clean it. Ooh, I don't like that very much. Sonic cleaner's in the background with the bits for the carb top in it. Another small JIS on this one. There we go. Let's see what's inside. Okay, I ran out of storage there for a second, but this I think is the, will that be air fuel mix or idle? Probably the idle. It was 2 3/4 turns in from out from all the way in, so that's come out. Yeah, that's the idle screw. That's air fuel mix. I don't have the right screwdriver at the moment, and because this is all so gummed up that I can't get that pin out there, I'm going to put it in the sonic cleaner like that for now, and then I'm going to go through it all afterwards. So here is my sonic cleaner, as denoted by the fact it's got sonic on it. I've filled it with 50% water and 50%, I'll just throw that there, 50% elbow grease, which is a very good degreaser. It's just a cheap but decent degreaser you can get from B&M and places like that. Oh look, you can see the, that's interesting, isn't it? I guess that's where the element is for the heater. So here we have a little basket thing with the very, very mucky carb in it, and springs and a couple of other big bits. That's the float ball. It's not looking great, is it? So that can go into, I'll pull that tube off it actually before I put it in. So this is just like a preliminary cleanup, just to get the worst of the crap off it, so I can hopefully get the other bits out, like the pin that holds the float on and things like that. Turn that way up. So I'll pull this pipe off and put that in there as well. And there's also one of these little tea strainer things with all the small bits in it. It's a little trick I learnt off Musty One. If you don't follow him on YouTube, what are you doing here? Because he's loads better than I am. So there's that. And also I could do to top the water up a bit in there. I think a lot of it's evaporated off because it's been sat at 45 degrees for a little while now. And I'm going to put it on for 60 minutes. Instant cavitation. Right, so I'm just going to pull the pipe off this, chuck that in there as well, leave it for an hour. Okay, let's try and get this pin out of here then. Ah, yeah, brilliant. I think it maybe goes the other way actually. That feels a bit easier. Yeah, it's been in the sonic cleaner for about 20 minutes so far. That seems to have loosened it up slightly. Be very gentle with that because I don't want to put little ridges in there. Okay. Needle. Right, back in it goes. Float ball's looking a lot better already. Let's see if I can get this little screw out. Yes, there we go. Wunderbar. So I'm going to put all the small bits in that little tea strainer thing. These 3 small bits. Put this back in and give it the other 45 minutes. Right, so this is the carb out of the cleaner now. It's looking a lot better. The only problem I've got with it at the moment is that this passage here, which I think is for the choke, or enricher as it's called on these Japanese carbs, that goes down there, which sucks up extra fuel for what would be the choke into that chamber there. But unfortunately, that passage is blocked and it comes out at a right angle there, so I'm going to have to work out a way to sort that out, possibly by shoving a bit of wire up there or something. So this is staying off for now, but the rest of the carb is going back together. Oh, and the carb top, because that's still attached to the bike. So I'll have to clean that separate. But basically the rest of the carb is good to go. Right, so needle goes in that little groove, just like any other carb really. I've done a lot of carbs, most of them were Delorto Char, but other carbs are very similar. The only difference is that the Char is more simple than most carbs. But if you've got a Tomos with a Enkawi carb on it, that is the simplest carb I've ever seen in my entire life. Right, so I need to line that up and push the pin through. There we go. This little screw is, I believe, the air fuel mix. I don't know what the setting is for that yet, but I'll find out. So I'll just put that in there so it doesn't go missing. Has a little spring on it. So actually it's this super long one that goes in there. Like so. This screw is for the drain off, which you can just tighten all the way in. And basically when you undo that, it lets all the fuel out the float bowl down this, which is attached to a tube that just drains it all out. Right, this was 2 3/4 turns out from fully in. I think this is the idle screw, but I don't know. So 1, 2, half, 3/4. There we go. This one I'm just going to screw in and then work it out from there. It was a couple of threads down, I know that much. Okay, well that's all the way in, so that's probably it. I don't think there was anything in that one. I hope not, because I haven't got anything to go in that one. Here's a needle and throttle slide. Drop that down the bottom. And then this weird wavy clip went in there as well, like that. And push down. Lovely. Down she goes to the bottom. Main jet. It's clear, but I still can't see any markings on it, so I'm going to put another one in. So these are Del Auto jets for a Shah. I'm going to put a 67 in. Sorry, a 68 in. It says 67.5 is the ideal one on the MA thread that I've seen. But I'm going to go 68 just to be extra sure. Mainly because I don't have any half ones. 70, 72, 68. There we are. One brand new 68 jet. So now, all we're waiting for is the carb top and for me to clean that passage out. I'll probably put both of those on off camera. Okay, so I left the float bowl in the sonic cleaner for about an hour and a half at 70 degrees. And then I left it in there overnight while it cooled down just to soak, and then got my airline and blew through that hole and it cleared out that passageway. So we now have a choke, which is good. I'm going to replace the float bowl screws, which look like that, with these. I think these are Cheesehead. Are you going to focus? Yeah, they're M4, I believe. They're ever so slightly shorter, but they're fine, I think. I do also, yeah, they're only that much shorter, look. Focus. Yeah, they're only slightly shorter anyway, about 2 or 3 mil. I could have gone with longer ones because these are actually through holes here, but I'm just going to go with the shorter ones. And this is the screw that hold the carb top on. I'm just going to replace it with that one, M5, same length, so that one's okay. And I'll build it up and show you what it looks like. Haven't replaced any of the gaskets in this, so hopefully none of them will be leaking. otherwise I'll have to buy a gasket set for it. I also sonic cleaned this carb top and soaked that as well. It's again got the original gasket on it, so hopefully it works. I'm not putting any of either the float slide on the enricher slide in there yet, because there'll be a bugger to get back out again to attach the cables. So for now, just gonna see if I can remove this split washer from the carb top screw. Okay, the split washer doesn't actually fit over the threads on this, so for now I'll attach this without the washer, and then I'll buy a new one and install that at a later date. So this is about done. You can see the white bits on it. That'll come off with WD-40. It's basically like really light surface corrosion, if you like, for this weird alloy that it's made of. Aluminium and zinc, I think, is what they're made of, basically, with a few extra steps. Keep going off shot. But yeah, so all this light corrosion here will come off with WD-40. I don't know if I'm going to bother with that though, because all dirt will stick to it and it's not doing any harm there. So the only job now really is to block off the oil line, and then we should be good to install it on the bike. So that bit of black pipe didn't work because I tried crimping it shut and it's the wrong sort of plastic or rubber basically, and it popped open again. So I've got a roll of this, which is, I think it's PVC. It's a bit more stretchy than PVC normally is, but it's some sort of mixture. Put a small length on there, heated it up, crimped it shut with some pipe grips, and that should prevent an air leak going in the oil intake tube. So that's the carb done. Isn't she lovely?